Welcome to another live episode of Halftime Adjustments. It's your host, Eddie Arnell, my man, G Witt.
Tighten up, baby.
Mr. J. Lou, what's going on, fellas?
Tighten up. What's going on, gents?
Man, well, you got to like that. There's that feedback again, guys. Let me get rid of that. Let's do that. Okay, here we go. All right, fellas. So before we got on, J. Lou was telling us he'd been under the weather a little bit, but I know he was able to watch a little football over the last few days, man. But glad you're here tonight with us, man, to do another episode of the show. And so come on in and join us tonight as we're going to look at, as we talked about last week, we're going to look at this. We're going to break down this game Thursday night against the Ravens, preseason week number 1. We didn't see a lot of the ones. We saw a few sprinkled on the offense and defense side of the ball. And so knowing that we were going to see a lot of the 2s and 3s, it gave us a chance, guys, to see what the potential depth of this team could be. We had some concerns last week. Jay Lee, you talked about the offensive line. G, which you talked about the secondary, receivers. And so we wanted to see exactly what this team was going to look like with the 2s and the 3s. And so, Ravens 23, Titans 10. This is like the Ravens are like 20-0 in preseason. Some crazy stuff, right? It's a crazy streak, 21 games. Say what you will. It's just preseason. But let's just talk about the obvious, guys. Everybody wants to talk about Malik and their first impression. So, G Witt, I'm going to start with you tonight, man. First impression of quarterback Malik Willis after Thursday night.
Well, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Okay, let me just say this. I didn't get any surprises, in all honesty, but I was impressed with the fact that he was able to run the offense pretty, evenly. Didn't have too many issues running the offense. I was thinking it was one of two things happening. Either he wasn't seeing the throws or nobody was getting open. Turns out it was the former. He was not seeing the throws. He ran the ball good, though. I'll give him that. And he had a couple of bad throws. That first throw on that third down, he learned real quick, hey, man, you got to step into your throws. Don't get me wrong. He had people in his way, but still, you saw the end result in the second half. Vrabel pulled him because he wasn't throwing the ball. But overall, I thought he had a good game, truthfully. I thought he did. I thought he obviously missed some throws, and that's to be expected. He is the NFL, and even though he was going against seconds and thirds, it's still a lot more that he's seen the whole time he's been in Liberty. But I know some people was talking about the offensive line didn't hold up. I was looking at him. I'm like, man, he was having anywhere between 2 to 2.5 seconds to get rid of the ball, which is a lifetime in NFL. So again, it just goes to show, as we said in the beginning of training camp, and he's not ready for starting. Even though he played okay, and I think he'll be serviceable, but he's not ready to start in the NFL at all. But you see the potential there. And again, arm talent was no doubt.
Right.
That pass to Racing McGrath showed, and I think if he gets used to the NFL, he'll be better. He'll definitely be better.
Yeah, J. Lou, what's your first impression of this young man?
Hey, so I think he is as advertised. I agree with G Witt. Nothing surprised me. Vrabel yanked him up out of there because they had a touchdown on that play. You go back and look at it, and Burks was wide open.
He was wide open.
And then on the very first play of the game, if I'm not mistaken, first play of the game was our Godwin, Eddie. It was the glance play.
It was a glance play.
And Fitzpatrick was wide open on that one as well. But,
yep.
2 seconds in the NFL is not the same 2 seconds at Liberty.
That's right.
And I think Malik figured that out real quick. You see that his legs is a weapon. I still don't think we will ever get the truth on if that touchdown run was a call or him just making it up. But it was pretty if he just made it up, because just to pivot and spin around the way he did. I will say one thing he put on film that he's gonna have to continue to finesse in his game is the spin move. You're gonna spin a few times, and a linebacker or corner is gonna meet you in that spin. So right now that works, but he's gonna have to get with that. But arm talent wise, man, that's a touchdown pass to Racing McGrath if he adjusts right and stay in stride. But that was a dime that he threw. And I agree with you on the offensive line. I thought the offensive line got poor as Malik was out. But you got to think he played with most of the 1s and 2s in the beginning, and for the most part they held up. But you definitely it's it's going to be interesting these next couple of weeks because I've been on here saying that I can see the Titans keeping 3. I still feel that way coming out of the preseason game. There is an however. When you start looking at, do I keep a DB?
Right.
This is where that third quarterback spot, like I said last week, is going to come down to where else you need to be protected at. Because I'll be honest, right now I could see them the first week or two keeping 2 quarterbacks and going extra on cornerback because we're suffering a little bit on DB. So that could be something that it can be dicey. So these next 2 weeks, I think will be more important for Woodside. Now again, you got to take for as bad as everybody want to say Woodside play. You got to remember he was playing behind the 4s and 5s on the offensive line.
That's right. That's right.
Baltimore was doing what we expected to do blitz. So I think you'll see it changed up a lot this week with practice. But for Willis, man, the sky's the limit for this young man. The one thing I liked about him too, he seemed like you don't see him making the same mistakes in the game that he would make in the beginning. Like he's learning on the field on the fly.
Yeah.
You gotta like that attitude. I mean, that's something we haven't seen from a young quarterback in the Titans history that I can think of is seeing them learn that quickly. So you gotta be grateful as a fan.
Yeah, and I agree with you, G. Witt. He definitely played like a rookie, right? Holding the ball too long, patting the ball before he throws, all the typical things that rookies do in the NFL, staying locked on the first read too long. And I think that's why he ran a lot more than Vrabel wanted him to. He was looking at his first read too long, at which he missed Burks, like you said, J. Lou, on the touchdown pass. But, the good thing about it, he's very athletic, as we saw. He's got a great speed, a strong base, and a strong arm, like you guys already said. And so I think, and I agree with you, Dion, he says he thinks people just expecting too much from him too soon. And I agree with you. He's not ready. It's gonna take some time, and let's just hope that Tannehill plays 17 games this year because even Woodside, I give it to you, J. Lou. He did play with the 4s and 5s, and man, he still made some bad decisions on throwing that football.
But, I thought about that while the game was going on. Yes, he played with the the tail end of the offensive line and all of that. But man, as a guy who's been in the league as long as he has.
As somebody that knows the offense.
Yeah. He still should have played better than what he played, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and that interception he threw down on the 2.
Yeah.
Dude, that was just a poor throw all the way around.
Right.
And it wasn't like he had a lot of trash around him either. He had time to get that ball off, and it was just a poor throw. So that's the thing that disappointed me about Woodside, man, was that even though he was with the 4s and 5s, he did not manage that well at all. To be somebody who's been on the team and knows the offense as well as he does, he didn't manage that well at all.
It's just like J. Lou said, he knows where the bodies are his. So
absolutely.
He's got the upper hand on Vrabel or something because he sticks around. And so, but right now, like Vrabel came out and said there's a QB competition for number 2. And I can't disagree after one game. So we'll see as their weeks go on, these next couple of weeks, especially this week coming up with the Bucks in camp and at practice. And we'll see what these guys do. Hopefully, we'll get a number 2 quarterback real soon. But again, Malik Willis, impressive, still a rookie mistakes, but a bright future I saw. And so here's the other surprise, guy. We kind of talked about it a little bit before we got on. Hassan Haskins, J. Lou. He don't even get to start Julius Chestnut, the undrafted free agent out of
Sacred
Heart. Yeah, Sacred Heart. Yeah. I mean, what does that say about Mr. Haskins, J. Lou, and Mr. Chestnut?
So I mean, I said it last week to end the show that if you just go back and you listen to Vrabel, Haskins hasn't been showing them enough in camp. And you've been hearing a lot about Chestnut. I mean, to the point where he fumbled and they let him attain for that turnover. Because we know how Vrabel is about turnovers. But you saw him go back in on the next series. So I will tell you, if Haskins can win them on the practice field, you did see that he has a role in this offense because he's a weapon out of the backfield.
He can catch the
ball.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them screenplays they had drawn up for him were phenomenal, and he's good in space catching like that. So I think as he gets into the grind of the NFL again, this isn't college practice, and he's with a coaching staff that can care less what we drafted you. You're gonna have to prove it. I mean, Chestnut's undrafted, and and Chestnut I mean, he played well. He ran hard and played well. So I mean, you've got some strong candidates back there. For we talked about it last week. You know, what was the depth like at running back after 22? And you've got some prime candidates there. But I think Haskins is another one that he's going to have. This goes to show he's going to have to win it on the practice field in order to see more playing time come Saturday night.
Yeah, 7 carries to 44 yards for Chestnut and 6 for 19 for Haskins. Now he had 3 for 29 on his receptions, and so he did have a great stiff arm though that you saw.
Oh yeah, you got to see that.
Right.
You definitely got to see that. But no, I agree with J. Lou, man. He obviously is not showing enough. And to be truthful, when you watched him in the backfield in the game, he didn't show you a whole lot in that either. I mean, you know, I was disappointed in the fact that he was actually missing holes. You know. And that's the thing that bothered me more than anything else, especially for him to be the type of back that's supposed to be good with zone blocking and making that one cut and going. I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know with this, I'm going to say with the players they got this year in the draft and everything, I'm not sure if these guys, I think they're being somehow or another comes across cautious to me. You know what I mean? I mean, it just seems like they're not pushing it for some reason, and I don't know why. And it may be the fact that all of a sudden you see, like you said, with the quarterback competition at number 2, you know, Vrabel may be saying some things, you know, trying to get an edge on people. Like, look, get a sense of urgency about this, because Haskins really didn't show me much running the ball. Catching the ball, I thought he was great. I thought he was great catching the ball at the backfield. But he's gonna have to show a lot more than he's not showing me the player we saw in Michigan for sure.
Well, yeah, that's true. Right, and you know, before we all jump off the ship, but he know it's just one game. So, like you said, J. Lou, he's got to pick it up in practice, and so we'll see that. I think you'll see a better output for him coming into this second week, knowing after he gets to watch some film and they go back and they go over some things with him, and he realizes that what he does in practice translates to the field, which is not a lot of playing time if you're not going to be effective. And so,
that's right.
You know, so we'll see. I'm not going to, you know, give up on the rookie just yet. It's, you know, everybody's different. I'm not saying you are G. I'm just saying everybody's different on how they pick up the pace of the pro game. You know, sometimes it takes a while for those guys to get adjusted. You know, you heard how they bashed Treylon Burks in OTAs. And so he came back to camp and he was balling. And speaking of him, you know, he had a quiet night, but he was open on some routes. I do believe, and I think it was Woodside that threw it down in the end zone against the cover 2 and the safety broke it up. If he would have thrown the ball to the outside and had him run straight up the field, he threw it straight to the safety and took Burks to the safety. I think he had a better chance to win the jump ball. But, you know, you see what we got there, man. We got a guy that can leap, that can run. I wish he could have had an opportunity to catch the ball more, you know, to show what he has. And then, you know, we mentioned Racey McMath on that deep ball, J. Lou, that you mentioned. Great pass by Malik, but again, this shows how raw McMath still is, that he had to run it right. He could have had a better route, right?
Yes.
He could have turned it upfield. And so let me throw this name out there to you guys, and let's see what y'all think. Terry Godwin, man, I really like Terry Godwin. He's got a lot of good speed in the slot. He's a return guy. G Witt, man, it's this wide receiver, like we said last week, this wide receiver room is going to be tough to make this year unless you play special team.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's what you're going to see a lot happen with this, especially with a lot of this class. You're going to see a lot of them playing special teams. I thought Godwin had a good game, man, especially in the return game. He surprised me, in all honesty, with some of his returns. I
like him, man. I really do.
Yeah. I would say with Burks, I wasn't as hard on Burks. Vrabel said he was inconsistent, you know, and that's coming from the coaches, so I'm taking him at his word. But from the few plays I saw of him, the only one I was disappointed in was when they did the jet sweep with him. And I thought he took it to the outside when he could actually cut it up field and got some good yardage out of that. I agree with you on the pass to the end zone. You know, Woodside threw the ball wrong. You know, people were talking about, you know, I saw some comments on Twitter talking about, you know, he's supposed to fight for that ball. I said, man, he threw it right to the safety. What do you want him to do? The fact that he was in there able to make a play on the ball was going to save Woodside, because it should have been an interception. But overall, I thought Racey McMath did a good job. Again, like you said, you can see his raw and his route running. I thought Phillips did okay. I thought he was great in the punt return game. No ifs, ands, or buts about that. But I thought on his pass routes and everything, and it could be just the quarterback and the offense, the way it was flowing at the time. I'm looking at this and I'm like, either Malik is not seeing them or they're not getting open. One of the two. Really couldn't tell from the broadcast tape, but I was wondering about that. But I thought overall, like you said, this wide receiver group is some talent there, more than what people are giving us credit for. And I'm interested to see how it's going to go on for the remainder of the preseason, especially after they get this first joint practice in with Tampa Bay. It's going to be interesting to see because Tampa Bay's defense is pretty good as well, especially their secondary. So
here's some things, Jay Lou, that I was disappointed in with his offense. Again, we know we were playing with, we had run days. Let's go back just a second before I say this part. Run days, you got to give them credit, man. The run game was actually blocked pretty good. Yeah. They actually blocked pretty good, I thought. Like we said, Malik was holding the ball just a little bit too long. I thought Petit Fier played well. Ruse played well. I think overall the offensive line didn't do too bad considering, as Deion said, Baltimore was running a lot of blitzes. Early, they blitzing the safety, blitzing some slot corner blitzes, some linebacker blitzing. So, Jay Lou, I thought for the most part the offensive line did pretty well considering, we had a lot of young guys playing.
So I came out of that game in the offensive line, and I've changed my whole prediction up because I'm just crazy.
You are crazy.
The rookie might start right tackle, and I think Dylan might be slotted at left guard. Don't be shocked if you see that as our starting five, because just go back in. You really got to watch film because they rotated those linemen a lot during the game.
You're right.
And Dylan did go back, and he had several plays at the actual guard position.
Right.
I could see them slotting him at guard because Brewer is great. He's our backup center. I mean, I know
I'm gonna say you saw him at center, right?
You saw him at center. Yeah. So
absolutely.
that's our backup center. And again, it's when do you want which one you want to take the lumps with, putting Dylan at right tackle or the rookie? I feel like either way you're going to have to give him help in the beginning, and I just think that when you look at size, I think Nicholas is a more NFL ready tackle than I would say Dylan is right now. And again, that's just my observation from the game. But again, I thought, I think that the sacks are not really on the offensive line. I think both of them, Malik just held. I'll say this about Malik. You could see on the sacks, it was an opportunity where he didn't bail out to try to run first. He wanted to try to throw the ball, even though he didn't get rid of it. So again, most young quarterbacks take off after a second or two, but I think on both of those sacks, he was sitting in the pocket, just waiting for something to develop. But man, overall offensive line play I thought was well. And then as far as the receivers, I was really impressed with Fitzpatrick. And I know a lot of people harp on him, 4th round pick got cut last year. He's real. I pay attention to the receivers. Again, this team is built to get the ball to 22.
That's right.
Fitzpatrick has some very good downfield blocking in the run game.
So they are talking about him for a reason in camp. We keep hearing his name for a reason, right? Yes. That's right. That's right.
So I think, we talked about it. I think they keep 5 or 6, but not only special teams, whoever's the better run blocker, I think will be at that last line. And then as far as Phillips, I told y'all when I text y'all, after the first punt return, he solidified being a returner for me because he wasn't scared. No. He took the ball from the 4-yard line to the 20, and I ain't seen that happen for the Titans in 3 years. So I think I don't know what Craig has done over there in Sports Park lately, but special teams, did you notice that every returner hit the hole and just hit it? It kept going they wasn't dancing, they wasn't doing nothing. So I'm hoping we see that during the season because I think that's been my biggest gripe with our returners is they just sit there and wait, but every single one of them that was there Thursday night hit it and took off. So I was glad to see that.
I think it's because of the competition that's back there, man.
That's true.
Because they realize, so I believe, and I don't know because I'm not there, but I just believe it's because of competition. And they know that it's going to be hard to make the football team as a receiver if you're not in that top 5. Right. And so you've got to find a niche to where you can play on special teams and make this team. Will says that there was a report out there talking about the same thing about Dylan, the Dylan situation. Will, I'm telling you, man, if you hadn't figured it out by now, I know you have, man, because you've been with us from day one. You've been rocking. We tell y'all the facts on this show, man. We tell y'all the facts. My man, I appreciate the comment. I'm just messing with you.
No, but I'll say this about Phillips, man. I agree with you, J. Lou. That first punt return, man, I was like, dude, finally. I would say this. He's the first one that we've had since what's up, boy, Mark Mariani.
Yep.
That's actually, catching the punt. Like you said, he reading this block and he's just going. He's not taking a whole lot of time trying to do a lot of dancing and everything. And I agree with you, Eddie. I think a lot of they're getting better at it because of so much competition, because they know that's going to be their ticket to get on the field, to make the team. You got to do it in special teams. So I thought that was really good about him, and I thought the blocking was pretty well on special teams as well. So that was a little thing that kind of surprised me. That was better than what I thought it was going to be. So yeah, but the O-line, man, I thought Brewer did an excellent job at center.
Yes.
I really did. I thought
there you go.
his line calls and everything was great. And you're right. They were rotating and switching guys all over the place. I was like, but okay, he's on the right now. He's on the. I'm like, come on, man. I mean, they're really testing them not only physically but mentally, as far as how you approach each side of the line. And I think that's one of the things they're looking at, because they know they really can't have no more than 8. And they're going to try to figure out who can switch up and play where, and how that's going to add to the depth of the line. Because again, they don't want to go through what they went through last year with all the injuries and having to flip players and all that kind of stuff and bring people in at the last minute. They're trying to make sure they got the right depth for the offensive line. But overall, I thought the offensive line did pretty good. I even thought the last group did okay, considering. I just thought that Woodside just didn't do a good job managing the offense in that time period.
Yeah, Woodside, man, he's going to have to rebound from that performance. And I was going to pick on Dion. I'm not, man, because Woodside, that's his dude, man. That's his dude. That's his Tom Brady 2.0. So I'm not going to mess with that. But anyway, so area for improvement for this offense: third down conversion. They had the first third down conversion of the game just under 6 minutes in the third quarter. You cannot win football games like that. 1 for 3 in the red zone. We've got to score. We're one of the best offenses the last couple of seasons in the red zone, and so that's got to be better. Of course, the turnovers, always get you beat. 299 yards of total offense, 196 pass, and 103 rush. So let's talk about the defense, guys, because the defense, man, the secondary has got to be concerning to me, because after you got so let's just talk about the cornerback position. You're not going to talk about the safety so much right now, but we'll go to that in a second. But after you got your Fultons and your Farley and your McQuarrie and your Molden, we in some. I will say this: I do like this guy, Shaquille Brown. Look out for that guy to make the 53 as that number 5 corner. He is, playing the USFL, played some good football, man. Missed a easy pick. I say easy, but he had a diving chance to get it. Yeah. But one thing I will say, and Jay, let me let you go on defense first, man. I liked Farley. I like what he did. He reacted well. He tackled well. He was in good position. It was good to see him on the field. With something we talked about last season, that he was on the field, he looked uncomfortable. He looked out of place. His fundamentals look bad, but Jay Lou, man, he looked pretty good the other night.
Yeah, and you was glad to see him get out there and get the tackle again. This is a guy that probably ain't played football since 2018, 19, and didn't play a lot of DB. Converted from Virginia Tech. Long, lengthy kid. I mean, he's very long. I told y'all that when I'd seen him, he's long. And the one play that showed me that he's been in the lab working a little bit, and I'm going to attribute this to Robert Woods. It had to be, I think it was the rollout that Hundley had, where usually you see DBs dancing because they get turned around. He turned around and spent back around and was able to use the sideline to help him with that tackle. But you saw him. I thought he did well when they did call press. When he wasn't off, when he was pressing, he was jamming at the line and all. So I was glad to see him get as much playing time as he needed. He was even in on special teams.
He was
every time. So glad to see him do that. I agree. I got a little fearful going into the second quarter, because I'm like you, Eddie. I started thinking, if we get past 4 DBs, we're terrible after this, because we're really banking on health. From that standpoint, because I'll say the rest of them, it did not look good. Josh Kalu was okay. Chris Jackson, they haven't brought out what the injury report
Somebody
was.
said they should have left him in Baltimore.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the only reason you didn't see him cut the other day when they signed the other DB is because it's probably an injury and they're waiting on some kind of settlement with that. But yeah, I think his time has run up here. And we've just got to find a depth. Now I agree, Shaquille Brown, and he's a few of the USFL players that you seeing that are in camp, and he's doing phenomenal. Theo Jackson, he was okay.
He was all right. Yeah,
he was okay. But yeah, and then Maben, I wasn't really impressed with Maven. I expected a little bit more out of him, especially when you think about these corners were going against the equivalent of them in wide receiver, because it wasn't the ones and twos for Baltimore. So it was a little concerning for DB. And again, I only looked at it, forget the passing yards and all. I looked at it from a depth standpoint, because again, I know the pass rush wasn't what we expected to be. But when you just look at the depth and trying to get these young players some playing time, I hate that they're not going to see Tom Brady this week, but I'm glad they're going to see them receivers that come in here to really test some of these corners.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, because bottom line, I think I was concerned with the depth from what I saw. I was like, man, this is not looking good at all. I thought Farley, again, like you guys said, I thought Farley did okay. I'll be honest with you. I guess my expectation was a little bit too high. I was expecting a little bit more. I thought the off coverage he was a little bit weak on, and again, it could be just the way they were playing the defense. I don't know, because I just thought he was a little bit weak in that. But I agree with you on the press. I thought he did well. It's off coverage is typical of Titan DBs. They just don't do it as well as you would like. But Jackson, man, I was like, dude, like you said, I think because they don't know what kind of injury he may have with that knee, that's the only reason why he hasn't been cut. Maven was a disappointment as well. I agree with you about Brown. I thought my boy from Bama, Carter, he was up and down. I was like, man, we have got some depth issues at DB. I was sorry that McCreary didn't play. I was hoping to see him. I was hoping to see, Molden didn't play, obviously, because he was injured and everything. I thought Theo Jackson did okay. I really didn't expect a whole lot out of him, but I thought he did okay. I liked it when he cleaned up that one play where dude missed the tackle and he was there to watch. I like that. I can see where I'm interested to see how he does going forward. To go back to your point that you made when we drafted him, Eddie, is he going to be the Chris Shank of this team, being able to cover tight ends? I'm interested to see how that's going to work out. But overall, the DBs, man, the secondary, they obviously the mantra was don't get beat deep, and I thought they did a pretty good job with that. But Chris Jackson, man, was just getting abused. It's bad. It's bad when you see a undrafted rookie that came in with the dreads and everything. They missed him on a pass. He went in the huddle and said, man, dude, I got this dude. Just throw it up. He can't cover me. And they went right back to it. I was like, dude, and they're talking about you in the huddle already. And these are the seconds and thirds. So, I think we're going to have some issues there. And I'm interested to see how they're going to address it. I mean, you see already they brought another DB in this weekend. So it's going to be interesting to see how they address all this information, all this stuff going on in the secondary. We got depth issues, man.
Yeah, so Dion says have we ever been impressed with Maven? No, he was just, he was on the team last year. He played special teams. He really did contribute, but I hadn't been impressed with him. He's just he's a player for camp, right? To help eliminate some of the injuries. And let's talk about Mr. Weaver. Kwanya talks about him. So it was good to see Mr. Weaver back out there. He did get pancaked one time. So, but hey, again, some of these guys are coming off injuries, hadn't had a lot of live action in a while. And so, but I do like the fact that he was out there, and I think it was Rodney that we still played the run really well in the game the other night. And you saw that. I was concerned at some of the times we talk about the depth of the team, that we lost pursuit angles, and sometimes we lost containment. But I think this, that's something they'll correct, because I don't know if they ran a few blitzes, but they probably ran some kind of base stuff most of the game. And that's no excuse though. But those are things that I saw during the game. Missed tackles, of course, and that was mainly secondary folks. But they were getting through the front line as well as the kids. And so a lot to be said about this defense. We know that was the younger guys, but you want to see that we have some depth in case we have some injury issues like we had last year. And I agree, G-Wit, I want to see McCreary play. Molden did come back today and he practiced. And so that's a good sign. And Hollister on offense came back as well. David Anini had 2 sacks from the outside linebacker position. So good job by him. He looked to be pretty aggressive. That's another position as deep as the outside linebacker. So again, that's special teams, right? If you're gonna make the squad as an outside linebacker. So the Ravens put up Go ahead.
I was gonna say just about you mentioned the linebackers, man. The inside linebackers is what gave me reason for pause. In all
I,
honesty,
yeah, I didn't want to
Flapjack.
bring it up. That
Right.
was part of the run game issue. Was
Yes,
them
sir.
linebackers were
yeah.
the whole time I was watching. I was like, oh, Cunningham and Long stay healthy, because man, it was
Wow,
ugly.
So that was that.
misreading.
Yeah.
Well, I
Yes.
was like, good Lord,
That
dude.
was one of the things we talked about. We did a position breakdown is that after Long and Cunningham, man, I mean, Monty Rice is on the pup list. We hope he gets back.
Yeah.
After that, though, Chance Campbell, Joe Jones, he played terrible.
He
Let's
played
just put that out there. He was terrible.
Terrible.
Yeah.
He played terrible. And so
The
there's
one
another
guy that did play pretty good, in all honesty, was Gibbons, man.
Gibbons,
Yeah,
Dr.
he
Gibbons.
did.
Dr.
I
Gibbons
thought
played
he
pretty
played
good.
okay. I mean, he
Yeah.
let's put it like this: he wasn't making a ton of mistakes out there. You didn't see
Nah.
that,
Right.
But yeah, I was just like, man, this is going to be interesting. This inside linebacker position, man, because we definitely didn't show any promise in that first game at all.
Dion says that he wants to see some ones and twos in action next week. I hope so. He said we even to get pancaked. He got flapjacked. You
He did.
He really did, and they showed the replay of it. I was like,
Yes.
good Lord.
Yeah. Let's see. Virgil says he thinks Theo will be better when he can study his opponent. I think so. I think Theo's going to be better for us. I think he's going to be better than what we've seen so far. You're right. When he has a chance to really sit down and focus on film study and really hone in on the opponent, I think we'll see, because he's a good athlete. He's a good tackler. He was a leading tackler for the Vols last season, and so he brings a lot to the table. But again, the inside linebacker depth is going to be critical this year. And don't be surprised if they don't sign anybody out the cuts before opening day, because we got to get somebody in there that's at least got some veteran experience, right? That's going to bring some experience to the table. So
I definitely foresee them going out just like they did last year and trying to find a good vet that could come in and give some good minutes and everything as far as DB is concerned, because really after the starters, we don't have anything.
Right.
Really nothing was impressive about that group Thursday night. Nothing really.
So 389 yards total for the offense for the Ravens. They were 8 for 17 on third down conversion. Something that this defense took pride in last season of being one of the best third down percentages defenses. 259 yards passing, 130 rush. And so one thing that I did see that I liked, and you guys saw it, I know as well, is that they were trying to punch the ball out a bunch. They were trying to tackle the football. And so, that's a point of emphasis this year for this defense, is create more turnovers. Vrabel emphasized it a bunch after the Cincinnati game, all the sacks with no turnovers. And so giving the opportunity to the offense to score more points and at least have more possessions in the game. And 8 times out of 10, that'll get you a win if your offense can get more possessions than the other offense and have more time, more opportunities to put points on the board. And so, like to see that out of the defense. Hopefully they'll continue to emphasize getting turnovers. And I would like to see more of the ones, we'll see them at practice this week, but I would hope, and I go back to something that Dion said, and we talked about it a few weeks ago, I would hope that we would see some of the ones on the field in the next 2 games, because we can't go into week 1 like we did last year and really in those first 2 or 3 games out of shape, not game ready and rusty, and make somebody a Pro Bowl football game in that first week on the defense side of the ball.
I think he gives them a series, offense and defense. Now, it might not be all 10 of the starters on defense or all. I mean, I think you see the starting 5 offensive line for sure. But again, the wild card this time, and it just depends on how game simulated they make these next 2 practices with the Bucks and Cardinals. Because again, some of the AFC teams are a little unique this year, losing an actual home game. They bringing in 2 teams to practice with them during the training camp. So it just depends on that. But I agree. I think I don't want to see the first time that all 11 on offense and defense go out is 325 on September 11th. Because again, that's a recipe for disaster. Because you can't. I don't care how well you simulate in practice, you can't simulate game speed. And we saw that. We saw that the other day. So I will say one thing on the defense, real quick. The one little caveat I'll give them, and it was something that we did a lot last year. That they held. It was we saw a lot of the bend don't break.
That's
If you
right.
go back to it, the Ravens only scored 9 points in the second half. Now we didn't
Mm-hmm.
score, yeah, but they only kicked 3 field goals, and that was 47, 45, and 23. So
Mm-hmm.
as they crossed the 50, even in about the 30-yard line, the defense did kind of hold up. So you're glad to see that where we didn't give up touchdowns.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's not all bad because we stopped the run.
Yeah.
And like you said, we did pretty good in the red zone, holding the field goals. And we just now got to create turnovers, right? We got to create the
Yes.
turnovers
Yeah.
we need to turn the field, flip the field position, and give our offense the chance to go down the field. And so, guys, after 1 week in the books against the Ravens, and we knew the Ravens was going to come out and blitz, and they did. And that was good for the offense to see it. And so we move on to the Bucks this week. Another tough defense up front, a team that was number one against the run last season. It's gonna be interesting to see what and if they let the King run any during practice this week and see what goes on there. But another good joint practice. Last year we had a fight in practice with AB and I forgot who the DB was for the Titans, but both of those players, I don't even think they're here. I know AB's not. I don't think we still got that DB from last season that got punched in the face. But anyway. So, but yeah, here we are, man. Week 2 coming up against the Bucks. Preseason, no Tom Brady. So all you folks that want to see the GOAT, he's not going to be here, but there'll still be some good action this week, right? Right. Disappointed. I know the DBs wanted to get that matchup, where they got their ones versus ones, and to see how they would hold up against those guys. And of course, you got a familiar face, Julio Jones, coming back. He looks like he's healthy.
Yeah.
And I do like the fact that Fulton got some action Thursday night opposite of Farley. So you got to see those guys in the game getting some work in. And so it's going to be pretty interesting, man. I'm excited about the defense because, like you said, J. Lou, bend don't break. They play good red zone defense and held on the field goals. And, like I said, now we got to create the turnovers. Now we had to create the turnovers. And go ahead.
You go back and look at that defense, and I just you guys mentioned about stopping the run. When you stop and think about it, you said I think Baltimore had 130 yards rushing.
On 33 carries.
Yeah, but you got to look at it. They got most of their yardage in the late third quarter and most of the fourth quarter. For the first half, man, they really didn't run the ball that well. We were stopping them pretty well. Right. So again, when you talk about the twos playing, Big Jeff didn't play. Danico Archer didn't play. You saw
Naquan played
in there.
Yeah.
You saw Pop-Tart. Pop-Tart didn't play.
Naquan
played. Yeah.
Jaden Peavy. Yeah, those guys we've been talking about. Yeah.
So you saw that defensive line is still going to be stout. And I think, like I said, my biggest concern in all honesty is just going to be those inside linebackers, man. We really are thin right there. And waiting for Monty Rice to come back, you don't know what kind of shape he's going to be in. And, but besides him, what do you got? It's going to be interesting. But overall, I thought, like I said, I thought the defense did okay, for the most part.
Yeah, and I'm with you, J. Lou. I really am impressed with the offensive line, how they held up, considering, like you said, they rotated people through each position. That's good, man. So you need that's another way to build depth. I mean, kudos to the coaching staff, right? That's one thing we talked about is this coaching staff is going to earn their money this year. They got to become creative in what they do. And just like we saw, and I think that's just part of like we saw in the defense, this remake of this offense, in particular offensive line and the wide receiver room. And I think we see Tannehill maybe a series this week, just so him and Burks can get some chemistry together. You want to see Burks have the opportunity to make some plays on the ball as well. And you see Austin Hooper and even Chig. Chig had a decent game. He didn't make a lot of noise, but he played well. And so, reason to be excited about this team. Go ahead.
That's why I think you see Tannehill to see that those skill weapons that he got be able to gel in game time. Because I think Kyle Phillips is going to be he's going to be the unsung hero of this offense. If he translates all we've seen in practice to the field, because he's that great slot third down receiver. And again, Malik's young. He wasn't developed with that. And then we already talked about Woodside. So I'm with you. I want to see Tannehill with some of these skilled players get a series or two where you can really see what they can do against stout NFL competition, not the same person I've seen every single day. So I know your weakness by now. So I look forward to that because again, I think I really feel like Burks is going to be something special.
do
He
too.
has a potential there. He's a big body guy. I mean, I saw
Yeah.
when he,
With speed.
they gave the comp to Debo as well about what he could do.
See?
And you saw it a little bit on the sweep, even though it didn't go. I was like, man, that I can see where you can have that wrinkle in there with him, because I think that we got something there. So I'm like you. I want to see Tannehill. Again, I'm curious on. Don't be surprised if Dylan runs out there at left guard. I really feel like you put him and Taylor on that side, and we might see that. We might see that in practice.
And especially if Petit-Fier, if he holds up well against the Bucs this week at right tackle. I mean, you got two weeks in a row you played against pretty stout competition.
Mhm.
And so if he holds up again, I don't see why he wouldn't start at right tackle. So we'll see, man. We'll see. It's a lot. We still got a long way before September 11th. A lot could happen in the next few weeks, and but I hope that they do get the ones out there. Dion says he thinks that Burks is going to be better than AJ. We'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
Like J. Lou said, you saw on that jet sweep. I would say this for sure. On that jet sweep, he looked a whole lot better than AJ did. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And granted, and that's not. I don't think that's ever been AJ's game. So but I thought Burks with the ball in his hand did a lot better job. And like I said, getting used to reading those blocks and everything, he makes that cut. He goes right up the field, and you really get to see his physicality. I think that's the one thing we didn't really get a good look at in the game on Thursday. So I'm really interested to see how he plays against the Bucs and because Bucs are a physical defense. Mm-hmm. So I'm really interested to hear what you guys are going to say after the practice on Thursday, what you see and everything, and see how that goes. Because man, I just think that I think I'll put it like this: the Sky. I think with J. Rob with this draft class, he definitely drafted for the future with them, and not really looking for a whole lot out of them this year, but looking for that transition. And I think we're going to see some stars come out of it. But I just think right now it's just going to be they're building up to that. I just don't that right now. I don't think they're really ready, but I think they're going to be building up to probably about halfway through the season. You're going to see these guys making some real contributions.
Yeah. So again, thank you all for joining us for another episode of Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G with J. Lou, man. Week 1 in the books of the preseason. The Bucs come to town this week. Got practice on Thursday. J. Lou and myself will be there live and in person. So if you see us, man, give us a shout out, man. Holler at us. We'll holler. We'll shoot it up with you and talk about this practice and what we're gonna see. And then join us next Sunday. We'll be back live once again talking about the Titans versus the Bucs. See if there's any improvements made, and maybe we'll see some of the ones get some action live at Nissan Stadium. So again, thank y'all for the comments, the questions, the support of the show. If you like the show, share it, give us some feedback, let us know what we can do. And man, we'll catch y'all next Sunday. We are Halftime Adjustments. Eddie Arnell, G Wit, J. Lou. We are out of here, man. Peace.
Peace.